Well, I know, it's looking quite starry up there. I got some handout.
Oh, okay.
I guess we can like set it right in here. Bring a dog?
No, I did not bring her this time. I thought about it, but she was 16. She would have been probably happy to see you. She must be pretty.
I know.
Yeah, she's got. She sees them, she doesn't see them.
Hey, you might need to replace the batteries.
Okay. I got a couple too, because I had to replace the ones there.
That is an ancient little camera there.
Yeah, I actually have
It's
one.
old enough to drink now. It's 21 years old.
Yeah.
Oh, what kind of camera is that?
It's a little Sure Shot,
Yeah.
Canon Sure Shot.
Sure shot.
Yeah.
Not a power shot.
Well, it might be a power shot, yeah.
Is that a power shot?
Yeah,
It is. Power shot.
520.
520.
How attached are you to it?
Not very distinguished.
Because I collect those.
Do you really?
Yes. Those got hacked. So you can reprogram them and do all kinds of crazy stuff, and I'm building an array of those for photographing meteors.
Oh, really?
So every time I see a bargain on one of those, I've been buying them up to get a whole bunch of them all synchronized in a meteor array.
Yeah, I bought that the same year I bought my View, which is the vehicle that came out here.
Yeah, there's a bunch of those power shots just that for a while there, and that's one of them. And I like the ones that use regular batteries, so you don't have to monkey around with specialized batteries.
I love that.
Do you really?
Yeah. No, I've got
Look,
this.
that-
Yeah.
Yeah, these are handouts.
Problem is, I don't want Detroit to go all the way because that means we lose.
Some of these are
So I'm rooting for Detroit, but then
demonstration.
oh, but they haven't been to a Super Bowl since '57. So at least they go.
Yeah, those yards
That'd be nice for them.
work a lot better on this side,
They
which we
do.
haven't had a lot of here in the last month.
That's true. That's very true.
Maybe we should just meet outside. Oh, where did you get that?
I found that on the internet.
I want to take a close look at that later.
Okay,
Those have gotten hard to find.
they have extremely hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those, and I've got some that look like a regular wood yardstick that folds into thirds. But
Right.
it's just got the
It just-
little
it just
rivet
got-
in the center of the section.
This
It's not
And I
kind
have a whole bunch
This
of
is a
those.
cabinet maker's rule, and it's got a straight edge. When it's got a decent straight edge. And they used to be easy to find, and in recent years, the only ones I've found were junk. So if that one's solid, then I
Yeah,
want
well, the problem with the ones, most of the ones that I've got that I used for this demonstration is that hinge doesn't stay.
You know, there's a workaround on that. There's a fix
Well,
for it.
yeah, the
You-
workaround is I just get some of those clips and put
And
them
put
on
it
there.
right at the hinge.
Put it right at the hinge to keep it from flopping over.
I don't know what this demonstration will be. I'm looking forward to it.
This is actually a pretty cool demonstration for, physically demonstrating
Faces
how
of
eclipses
how
work.
eclipses work and stuff like that, which I'm going to slightly go.
Oh, I see. You've got celestial bodies. Ooh, that actually looks right.
Yeah, you mark it on the yardstick for the right distance, and
Wow.
Well, see, what I'm doing here is I'm showing, perigee, apogee, and then mean distance. So that way you can see, and especially with the public, man, the public just eats this stuff up. It's just really awesome.
I did a calculation recently. For those who still think the sun orbits the Earth, of how long that would take, given the distance.
Yeah.
Because it's independent of the mass of the sun. And it would be 8,000 times how long it takes for the moon to orbit the Earth. It's just a quick and dirty way of explaining to someone that no, it's not, even though they still won't get it if they can possibly still believe that the sun orbits the Earth. This may sound pointless, but I know people who believe that.
Oh, the sun still orbits the Earth.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I had a when we were talking to people at the library for the annular eclipse, because people were still coming by even though we couldn't see anything. I had a very long conversation with a gentleman, and he came back a couple of times to continue it, talking about Nibiru.
Oh no.
And then, we never see it because it's on the opposite side of the sun from the Earth. But NASA scientists have proven it. They just won't tell anybody because it's a secret.
Yeah.
If you say so.
I don't know if you participate with doing a night sky network stuff.
Yeah.
Did you want to
Spent a lot of time digging.
No, I didn't.
Okay. For some reason, when I ordered my pens, because active clubs get free ones, and I ordered one more. For some reason, they gave me three more. They gave me three more pens, so I have two extras because
Yeah, we didn't.
Do you want these?
I would take those.
Because they depict the annular eclipse. And look here.
Oh yeah, where it shows, right. That's cool.
So, and I don't know who else to give them to other than you. And you can keep one.
Then we'll raffle one off.
Raffle one off.
I don't suppose it would do any good when someone's thinking Nibiru exists to point out that it would perturb the orbits of Mercury, Venus, and Mars so much that we would see the difference with our naked eyes.
I realized early in that conversation that there was no point in me even trying to argue or talking sense
Okay.
or anything. So.
Maybe not naked eye with Mercury, that would be tough. But Venus and Mars.
Are you going to be recording us?
I am recording you, yes. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Got a few more. Excellent. Hey, come on in.
Welcome.
So tonight we've got one of our own AAL members. She's also a past president of KAO in Wichita.
Still a member of them too, so
Yes.
multi-memberships.
Yes. She does a lot of Night Sky Network stuff. Jerelyn Ramirez and her husband Paul. I assume, Paul, you went with her to the eclipse? Okay, good. Went to, I'm not sure where they went.
And I will tell you.
Yes, but they went to view the annular eclipse, and so she's going to give us a little talk about their trip and what they saw, and hopefully we can see some cool pictures.
Well, I'm not much of an astrophotographer either, but I'll do the best that I can. But thank you all
Well,
for
your pictures will be better than anything we saw
Well,
here.
yeah. But, I'm really glad that you guys invited me here today, and I know that it was quite unfortunate that here in the Lawrence area, perhaps even the whole Midwest, was pretty cloudy, for the annular eclipse, and so observing was impossible for everybody to do that. So anyway, and as you are well aware of, there was a lot of hype for the October 14, 2023 annular eclipse, and here are a couple of posters that are illustrated by a couple of artists And I even had the opportunity to meet Tyler Nordgren, which he illustrated that one, as I was going through the Solar Eclipse Ambassador training. And if you've ever seen any of his work, so he illustrated that one on the right. And he also illustrated this poster for the 2017 eclipse. And the one on the left was illustrated by a guy named Kristen Perrin. And these are collector's items. And I do have this poster and the one prior to the 2017 eclipse. And they are collector's items, and I do have a few of them in that box over here that you're welcome to have if you so desire. So Paul and I were making plans for over a year to go to Albuquerque, New Mexico to view the annular eclipse. And Albuquerque was right near the center path. So how can you get it? Okay, I didn't see it. So anyway, it's right around the center path, and you would enjoy about 4.5 minutes, I think, there at Albuquerque, and to see the annularity. And at the same time, my sister wanted to arrange a surprise birthday party for me. And it just so happens that October 14th, 2023, is my birthday. And so it fell on my birthday. It was my 65th birthday. And so when she contacted Paul about the idea, he said, hey, yeah, that's great. Go ahead and do that. But Jerelyn and I are going to be in New Mexico during this on her birthday. So, well, anyway, to make a long story short, my sister rented an Airbnb there in Santa Fe, and so for about 4 days. And she talked to our brothers. We have 3 brothers and my daughter to join us for a private eclipse birthday party type thing. And Santa Fe was within the path of annularity, and it was a great compromise to have my birthday and there with my family to share this event together with them. So the morning of the eclipse, I woke to this. My sister thought it was a fun idea to do this, and apparently Paul and I slept in an RV. We brought our RV out, and we slept out in the driveway in the RV, and I guess she had like 100 balloons scattered all over the floor, which many of them popped during the middle of the night, and they said it would sound like gunfire going off. So they just randomly just popped, Anyway, so this is what the decorations they had for me, so they had the astronomy type theme, type going thing for me. So I thought that was pretty cool. As my daughter, or my sister has a granddaughter, and I guess she did the same thing, and she blew up a whole bunch of balloons, and when she came downstairs to, in the morning, and she goes, it must be my birthday, there's balloons, so. Well, the day before the eclipse on October 13, I built this large solar projector. Although this photo was taken the morning of the eclipse. But anyway, I set up our gazebo, and as you can see here, and hung a couple of tarps around on 3 sides of it, leaving the north side of it open. And I set up a frame to hang a white bed sheet, like right in there, and to shine the projection of the sun onto it. And the tripod that I'm standing next to has a really small little mirror in it, in an envelope mounted to it. And the envelope has a small jagged hole in it, and I'll show you some pictures of it here in a minute. And that has the mirror in it. So I reflected the sun off of the mirror inside this envelope into the gazebo onto the screen. And so you can see the projected sun right there, inside there. And the screen is about 55 inches across, and it would take about 35 minutes for it to go all the way across. And I had it, the projection was about 4 inches in diameter, and it would take about 35 minutes to make it all the way across. So you didn't have to stand there and keep adjusting it all the time. So the tripod is about 40 feet away from the screen. So you can see my CPC 800 back here. And it was already tracking the sun, waiting for first contact. So here's a closer look at the envelope with the mirror in it. You can see that there's a little hole in it right there. And it's really easy to really set that up. And so this really worked out really well, better than I hoped. And it allows many to view at the same time without the danger of looking at the sun. And you just have to make sure that no one blocks the projection of the sun. So here's another angle of the gazebo from the south and west side of it. And the gazebo is a 10 foot by 10 foot in size. And I used 2 tarps that were folded in half to give it a double thickness to darken the inside of the gazebo as much as I could. So, and I used grommets that were around it to hang it from the frame on the inside of it from the top. And then I used some 4x4s to weight it down because I had it folded in half to keep it from moving around just in case it was windy. But there was no wind this day. It was just the most gorgeous day you could ever ask for an eclipse. So anyway, and then in the center on the south side right in here, I kind of stitched it together using a rope. So let's see, I brought a pair of what they call sinoculars, and I'll pass these around for everybody to look at if you want to look at them. They're just for looking at the sun. You've ever seen these? So they're 8x32s, and it gives you a really nice steady view of the sun at this low power. And of course, their only function is to look at the sun. So, and I purposely bought red ones so I wouldn't get them confused with my black ones. So anyway, so I really like these binoculars. You know, like if you just want to quickly go outside and look at the sun to see if there's any sunspots, they're quite ideal. You don't have to set up a whole bunch of stuff to go look at the sun real quick. And as you see that the weather was quite great. Blue sky here, there was a few cirrus clouds to the south and east, but there was nothing to worry about on that. Here you see some of my family members mulling around, waiting for first contact. My daughter Faith, she's there in black. And then my brother Philip, he's right here. This is my brother Mitchell and his wife Kelly, and that's me in the blue shirt. So I set up my CPC 800 the night before. I observed, and I observed a few celestial objects using a 3-star alignment. And after I was sure it was tracking really well, and I would place it on celestial objects in the center of the eyepiece and then when I would go to the next object, I made sure that it was just tuning very nicely. And so I put the telescope in hibernation afterwards and pointed it towards the southeast, waiting for the sun to rise the next morning, ready for first contact, to make it easier to find the sun the next morning, because it's a little challenging, to find the sun initially. So it was awesome when I took the telescope out of hibernation the next morning after I fixed the solar filter on it and let it acquire the GPS positions. And I told it to go to the sun, and the telescope put the sun top dead center in the eyepiece. It was a beautiful thing. So you can see the scattered cirrus clouds there in the sky in the southwest. And it was a really, really, really nice day for an eclipse. So and I yelled out first contact at 9:14 a.m. Mountain Time, and the temperature was 54 degrees. And no wind, there was no wind. So at first contact, as first contact has begun, my family came out to witness the celestial phenomenon. And my sister Cindy was at the eyepiece while my brother Philip waited his turn. So I was showing him how to operate the focuser. And here we are huddled around the projected image. I'm explaining how the sun is projected onto the screen to show them the eclipse. My sister Cindy is there to the left in the pink. And Mitchell was next to the screen back there, hiding back there. And then Kelly, his wife, was standing behind me. And upon a closer look at the reflective image on the screen, first contact was met. You can kind of see it there, taking a little bite out of there, just a little bit out of it. And so I'll just let you guys look at that for a couple of seconds. So I had another method of watching the sun with a sun spotter, and I brought it with me, and it's sitting right here. And you can see the projection of the partial eclipse as the moon starting to take a bite out of the sun. and on the right side there, and I won this sunspotter from Night Sky Network, and just before the August 2017 eclipse. And the contest was we had to hold a solar eclipse presentation and give away solar glasses to Spanish-speaking community, And there was some training involved with this to understand the deep-rooted Spanish culture about eclipses. And there in Topeka, there is they have an annual Mexican fiesta for a week in July. And what I did is I made a request and I set up a booth for 2 days. And unfortunately, we were rained out the first day. I mean, it rained boatloads of rain. I mean, it was a river right going down the street. And but then the second day, I gave away nearly 750 solar glasses to the Spanish community. And I also had the help of a bilingual friend who to help me with the language barrier, and she was fantastic. And there were many that could not speak any English, and she didn't really interpret for me. She actually gave the presentation. I showed her how to give the presentation in English, and she just did it in Spanish, and she just took over. I says, okay, you're up, she just jumped up and she gave the whole presentation in Spanish. And it was after reporting this event that helped us win this sunspotter. And it retails for like $450 at the time that we won it. So I did run into some concerns about the Spanish culture on eclipses during the 17 eclipse. Some people were quite terrified about the approaching eclipse. So, and the training really helped me understand their very real fear of it.
What was their fear?
To be outside, that they would actually turn into a pillar of salt, that evil things would happen to them, such as they would go blind, or some other disease or something like that. They would always attribute it to the eclipse. Even pregnant women were not allowed to be outside during an eclipse because it could hurt the fetus. So they had to wrap their bellies if they were to go outside, in something red to ward off the evil spirit from the eclipse. It's very real. There was one woman who I was going to give some eclipse classes to, and I was telling her how to be, all the cautions and stuff like that. Always keep your glasses on. You can only look at it during totality, but if you don't travel to the center path, you always have to wear your solar glasses. Otherwise, you could hurt your eyes. She goes, I'll come back. She never came back. So here's a closer look of the eclipse starting after first contact. So like I said, I'm not much of an astrophotographer. This is it. I only took images of the eclipse using the projection methods, and this sunspotter has now seen 2 eclipses, and soon it will see a third one come April. Well, the question was asked on how eclipses happen, and with this simple demonstration about the phases of the moon. And so you just, as you got the sun up, you just walk around and you can actually replicate the phases of the moon and help them understand that the eclipses happen during new moon for a solar eclipse and for a full moon for a lunar eclipse. So it has the possibility of doing that. And so I also showed them the concept of lunar eclipses too. So they were very fascinated. My sister Cindy and my little brother Mitchell are always enthusiastic about astronomy. So Faith, my daughter Faith, she's making an attempt to image the eclipse using her smartphone through the use of one of those viewers. Mitchell's holding the viewer. And I'm not really sure how that turned out for her, so I don't know if she was successful with that or not. The time now is 9:46 a.m., 32 minutes after first contact. And there are a couple nice sunspots that you can see them. I don't know, can you see? There's one right there. And there is one like right there. I think you have to be a little closer to it. Yeah, it's right there. So there's a couple of nice little sunspots on it. My brother John finally came out to join us. The time on this one is about 10:06, or 10:06 a.m., almost an hour after first contact. Here's a side-by-side taken at the same time interval of the two projections. Notice how this projection is becoming more sharp as the moon moves closer to the center of the sun's disk. The size of this projection is dependent on the distance the mirror is, or the focal length, making the image more out of focus as further away as it is. And as the moon covers the sun, less stray light is reaching the earth, creating sharper shadows as the light from the sun is becoming more focused. So the sun spotter uses two lenses to magnify and project an image, and the objective lens, and of course you've got the adjustable focuser lens, and of course it bounces off three little mirrors inside there. So, and with this telescope you're able to see the sunspots. And you can still, I don't quite see it on this, it's just slightly out of focus. The time on this is about 10:14 a.m., about an hour after first contact. So the time on this one is about 10:20. You can feel the temperature changing. It's dropping as the moon covers up the sun more. We saw the eclipse projected through the leaves of trees, even projected on the pole. Even through the smaller leaves of a bush. I didn't take a photo of second contact, which I documented to be at about 10:35, and the temperature was measured at 47.8 degrees. This was a measured drop of 6.2 degrees from first contact at 9:14. Since we were in Santa Fe, the moon was a little off center during annularity, and so this image was taken at 10:37 a.m. And here we have projected it on the screen. Standing in the antumbra, it had a really, really eerie look to everything. The shadows were sharper and crisp, without any of the fuzzy outlines of your shadow. It was just really strange looking, just like it seemed so surreal. Even though it still looked pretty bright, the sun looked pretty bright up there. So note that the eclipse is now waning in the sun spotter. And I recorded a temperature drop of 7.1 degrees during the eclipse at 10:43 from 9:14. And then I took the time to explain why the moon didn't cover up the sun completely. And I'm just going to quickly go over that here. This is my little eclipse yardstick. And of course this is the Earth. And these are moons, although we only have one moon. But this is to try to tell you this is the mean distance. And the mean distance is approximately about 30 Earth diameters. So if the Earth is 1 inch, and the moon is 1/4 of an inch, and that's to scale to each other. And so if it's 30 Earth diameters, that means they would be 30 inches apart at this scale, okay? And so this is, the public really enjoys this one because it really helps them understand it. But then I also explained that you've got where the moon is an elliptical orbit around the Earth. And so sometimes it's closer, sometimes it's further away. And then this is called perigee, and this is called apogee when it's closest to us. It's about 2 Earth diameters closer to us. So it's 2 inches at this scale. And each inch, it represents about 8,000 miles because the Earth is about 8,000 miles in diameter. And so that would be about 16,000 miles when it's closest to us. And so then during this eclipse, the moon was here during apogee. It was furthest away. So like the day before it was, I think it was, before the eclipse, the moon hit apogee. And so it was right at the furthest point from us. And so that's why the moon did not cover up the sun very well. And so during the 2017 eclipse, it was here. It just reached the mean distance like the day before. So it was right here. And then during the April eclipse that's happening, it's going to be here. It's going to hit this point about 4 days before it hits, so 4 days afterwards. It's going to be really spectacular. So the shadow is going to be twice as big as it was when it was here. So it was about 70 miles in diameter, a swath across. Yeah, it was 70. This is going to be about 114 miles across. So it's huge. So it's going to be huge. So of course then your eclipse time is going to be double too. So this was about 2.5 minutes. This is going to be about 4.5 minutes. So here. So anyway, the public really enjoys this one. They really understand that.
The great thing about that one is if you're outside and it's sunny, you can stand with your back to the sun and hold that up, and you can actually see the shadow of your moon go across the earth. I mean, it's a great demonstration.
It really is. And you can actually do it with a projector and a screen,
Right.
which I have done many times. And then I try to get little kids or even adults to try their hand at it as well to see how difficult it is to line those two shadows up. So, and then you can also do a lunar eclipse as well.
It's a great way to show why there isn't a total solar eclipse every single time there's a new moon, too. Because you don't have to miss it by very much.
Right. Because the moon orbits around the Earth at a 5-degree tilt to the plane of the Earth around the sun. And so it just doesn't happen all the time. And there's actually another kit or an activity that we'll share with that. And I didn't bring that. But I do have a close-up view of the waning eclipse, and I did record third contact being at 10:39, but of course I didn't get a photo of it. See, if I had known that I was going to do this beforehand, I would have captured all that information, or maybe taken more pictures. So, notice how the eclipse projections are now inverted through the trees. So now they're going upwards. See, and then to compare, see, before they were going downwards. See the difference there? That's kind of neat. And I really like this image of the eclipse going through the trees. It looked kind of pretty, kind of really artistic. And here's a fun projection. This projection is going through the holes, through the mini blinds. You know, that the string goes through. It was inside the house.
Wow.
And why it has a double exposure is because of the string going through the hole of the mini blinds. So it made two separate projections, and that's why you have what appears like a double exposure. And I was going in the house to use the restroom or something, and I thought, oh my gosh, there's an eclipse right here. So here's the projected waning image on the screen. So, and I was really pleased on how this solar projection worked, and I plan to use it for the April 8th eclipse. So going back and forth between the projections. So, and this one was taken at 11:12 a.m. And the temperature has risen back up to 51 degrees now. And we started at 54 degrees when the eclipse began. So now it's 11:51. And the temperature has now risen up to 59.3 degrees. And then 3 minutes later at 11:54, through the sunspotter. You can see that sunspot right there. Nearing last contact. I recorded last contact to be at 12:09, and this image was taken at 12:05. And after the eclipse, we decided to go to a Mexican restaurant there in Santa Fe. And while we were waiting for our table, in walks Michael Zeller. I don't know if you've ever met him. And he came with his wife and a few other people. And Michael, he co-authored the field guide book. And where did I set that down at? Oh, is it here?
It's up there.
Oh, it's up by me.
Yeah.
I put it close to me so I could find it. Anyway, he co-authored this here book. And I met him at the Alcon in 2022, and I got him to sign it for me. And I also got the other guy, Michael,
Pickett.
yep, I got him to sign it as well.
He's the one that got me recruited to do the St. Joe eclipse when he was still working for Astronomy Magazine.
Oh, really? But anyway, while we were waiting there at the restaurant to get our table, Paul was wearing the shirt that he's wearing now, the same shirt that I'm wearing now, and he actually designed this shirt. And so it was a topic of conversation, and I go, I know who you are, Michael, you know, and so it was quite fascinating that we just happened to be in the same place. And he said he was going to be on the edge. He wasn't going to be on the central part during the eclipse, but I certainly didn't expect him to be there in Santa Fe.
Same shirt?
Yeah, same shirt. Yeah, it's the same shirt. I bought it for the event. So after a while, after we ate, we went to Albuquerque to go watch the Balloon Fest. The Balloon Fest was in Albuquerque at the same time. And it was the best birthday ever. So that's all I have. Thank you. Yes, does anybody have questions?
You want to talk about some of the questions you got about why eclipses are dangerous? Like one fellow at the restaurant was saying, why is it dangerous during an eclipse rather than all the time?
I was during the 2017 eclipse. I was handing out solar glasses. I had like 6,500 solar glasses to give away, and I couldn't give them away fast enough. In fact, I still had 150 of them after everything was all said and done. So I thought I did pretty good, you know, that I had only had that many left. Nice Guy Network, what they did, because I do a lot of outreach, and they go, oh, let's send a whole case of these to Jerelyn. Jerelyn will give them away, and that's what I did. I mean, they didn't even tell me. They were just showed up on my porch, and I go, what the devil is this? You know, and I go, I don't remember ordering this. And anyway, so I was tasked with that. So I go to this restaurant there in St. Mary's where we live, and so I was just handing glasses out to strangers, and this one guy, as I'm explaining, to be careful looking at the sun, use these solar glasses, yada yada. And he goes, so why is it so dangerous during an eclipse than any other time of the, to look at the sun, And I go, well, okay, that's a very good question. So what is it exactly that you're doing? And he thought about it for a moment, and he goes, well, I guess I'm looking at the sun. I go, okay, so how many times do you look at the sun? He goes, well, I never look at the sun. I go, well, why not? He goes, because it hurts my eyes. I go, ding, 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 ding. I go, that's why. And I says, now you could watch the sun safely using these. And there was another woman who I met at the post office there in St. Mary's. And so I always carried a fistful of glasses with me no matter where I went. And this woman, she was paying for her postage or whatever. And I says, ma'am, would you like a pair of free solar glasses? She goes, no, that's okay. I'm a doctor, and I use X-ray film to watch the eclipse with. I go, really? You think that's a safe way to look at the eclipse? I says, are you able to see terrestrial objects through that X-ray film when you're looking through it? She goes, well, yeah. I go, well, then it's not protecting your eyes. I says, use these. She goes, no, that's okay. I says, I'm giving these to you for free. Just take it, I says, don't gamble your eyesight on something that you think is going to protect your eyes,
Can I add to this?
Yeah.
When you look at the sun normally, the total amount of light hitting your eye is a lot more. And so it's more likely to cause you to turn away, right? But during an eclipse, the total amount is small. So you can look for longer before you really feel it. And you're more likely to stare just because there's less total light.
Right.
But the part of your eye it's hitting gets the same amount of light that it would get any other time. And it's not as horrible as people make it out. I mean, you can look like this and then look away. You're fine. Maybe a little longer. I found that baby blue balloons were awesome for looking through. you wouldn't want to do it for very long because the ultraviolet might be just coming right through.
Right, right.
But you can look, oh, that's pretty cool. It's not going to do anything to you.
Well, I have a niece that might say otherwise because she's an optometrist. She's a doctor in optometry. And she says after an eclipse, she gets a lot of people that come in that all of a sudden they can't see. Or they see a lot of things, or everything is really dim. Because they looked at the sun without protecting their eyes. So, yes.
And what about pets?
Oh,
They're smarter than us.
exactly. That's exactly how I answered it. Because this woman was really terrified about her dog going outside during the eclipse, like if it had to go potty or something like that. And I said, don't worry about it. Your dog is a lot smarter than us humans. They never look at the sun for any reason. Yes.
On the topic of the solar sunglasses, I remember leading up to 2017 eclipse, there was a rumor, I don't even remember exactly how I saw it or heard of it, but that there were fraudulent sunglasses being circulated.
Yep.
And I had no idea, really, even in my own mind, how to address that. I think Paul and I went up kind of at the last minute, and we were looking for sunglasses, but I was a little worried about that.
Well, and it's interesting because where we ended up going was up in Nebraska to watch the 17 eclipse. The swath of it went right through this park. It was this state park going through there. And so we made reservations, and many of us club members trekked up there. And well, you were up there with us.
That's right.
We talked you into coming up, didn't we? It rained on us. It was cloudy most of the time.
It had its usual Nebraska storms. Yes.
Right. Well, anyway, so we as I'm making my reservation, the person I was talking to over the phone, she says, yeah, I bought all these solar glasses through Amazon, and now they're recalling them. They're saying that they're defective or they're fraud. They're not suitable for looking at the sun. And I says, don't worry about it. How many you need? She goes, 36. I go, I'll bring them to you when I come up. And so, of course, when you make your reservations, you tell them what vehicle you're in, and, they give you your space, because we're basically camping out up there. And so they met us at the entry gate and escorted us all the way in until we got settled in. And he says, are you the young lady? And I says, well, I like you already. And that's bringing us some solar glasses. I says, yes, I am. I says, as soon as we get, make camp, we'll bring them to you. And so he made sure that I gave them the solar glasses, so they were pretty excited about that.
I have a list from the American Astronomical Society of reputable manufacturers that you can order the glasses from that are all approved. I'll send that out to everybody. Most of the ones that were recalled, like Jerelyn said, were coming from China through Amazon.
Right.
And so, but there are.
They've got the ISO number 12312, I think it is, -12 or something like that.
Yeah, they've got the CE and the ISO, so you've got European certification from that organization and the American.
12312-2.
But did the fake ones have fake certifications on them?
Right, well, that's why you still have to buy it from a reputable manufacturer.
Well, like GreatAmericanEclipse.com is a reputable.
Right. Rainbow Symphony is
Rainbow Symphony is another great
company
one.
that you can buy them from. There's a number of them, but I can I'll forward that list to everybody on my next email, and that way, if you've got anybody looking for them, it'll give you plenty of options of where you can get them.
Well, and they're really getting harder to find, and they're much
And
more
they're
expensive
getting
than
more
they were when I
expensive.
first. I bought a box
As we
of.
get closer.
I bought a box of 500 of them for like $0.25 a piece. Yeah, you can't touch them for $0.25 a piece today.
No, they're about $2 a piece now,
Yeah,
and they'll get more.
they'll get
expensive
more as the day gets closer.
Rick, you've got ones to hand out, right? And I've got one. I've got like 100 to hand out. So
Yeah,
I've got
I
a-
didn't today, but
I
I
brought
just
a-
sent in a request to Solar System through the Solar System Ambassador Program at JPL to get some more.
Yeah, I brought a handful of them if anybody wants one. They're
Yeah, I
actually,
still have some left over
and
from
they're-
2017.
yeah, I do too. And this actually has the annular and the total eclipse on the dates and stuff like that on it. So they're kind of a collector item too.
Mine are awesome. I got them after the eclipse for literally, it was like 10 or 15 cents a piece because they were already brand logoed and they weren't going to be able to use them again. And so I said, yeah, heck yes, I'll take a couple hundred of those. They came with a Harrah's Casino logo on both. So I don't know which Harrah's Casino it was that had having a big eclipse party, but they didn't order all their glasses.
One of the things that I forgot to mention during my little presentation is that during annularity, right in the middle of annularity, there was like almost 90% of the sun was covered up. It was like 89.87 or 90 something or 89.87% was covered up. So that's what that was. So I have some handouts up here, and I wanted to share this with you. This is another deal. This is like, they call this the sun pizza, a pizza sun. And so if you shrunk the sun down to this size, how big would the sun and the moon be in comparison to that?
Earth and the moon.
Oh, the Earth, yeah, the Earth and the moon would be. So I've got. Okay, now it says moon on this, but it's wrong in series on this side, but it's the same scale. But that would be Earth, and that would be the moon.
Yeah.
Sun's pretty big.
Sounds pretty good.
But when you watch a Venus transit,
So
you see
Yeah.
just how big we are.
Oh, or a Mercury transit.
Or we go here too, doesn't it? You guys
Well, but Venus is closer to our
I
size.
didn't get to see the last one because it was pouring rain here all day, but the one that had been like 6 or so years before that, 6 or 7 years, I got to see that one. I saw it as it was rising from out of Clinton Lake, and then I had to go to work. So then
Yeah.
from work, I brought my telescope to work, and I was out in the parking lot for an hour or two watching it out there.
But at this scale, if the how far away do you think the Earth would be from this sun?
93 million miles.
93 million miles.
Oh well, not
That's
that.
that's right. But
That's about, what is that, about 8 or 9 inches? And that's,
yeah, this is about 8.5 inches, I think.
8.5 inches, so.
The answer's on the back of this.
No, it's okay.
It's 75 feet. It'll be 75 feet away from each other. And so the Earth and Moon would be this far apart. They would be 90 millimeters apart, because this is 3 millimeters, and so so this is 90 millimeters, or about 3.5 inches apart. So this is how far apart. And what I have done at libraries, if I had the space, I would set this up 75 feet away, and you could actually go like this and put this moon right in front of it and literally cover up that sun with this tiny little moon. You could do it. It can be done.
Yeah, I guess the distance is about 100 times the diameter, roughly.
Yes. That's correct. So, does anybody have questions? I do, like I said, I have little handouts up here. Here's something I want to share with you, because I love this little thing, and I actually made a hack on it. This is a way to talk to people about energy that comes from the sun. That, like the electromagnetic fields and stuff like that comes from the sun. Cosmic radiation. So you've got little compasses that you place on here. And then you want to make sure they're all oriented north. And if they're not, you can just take your magnet and swipe it through and you'll correct them. So then what you do is you try to remove, I usually have this all set up beforehand, but use your little staples. Okay, so this is a little magnet, like a bar magnet type thing. And then you set it here in the center, and you watch, and you ask your guest to see which side is the north and south side of this bar magnet. And so this would be the north side, and this would be the south side by looking at these, all the compasses. They're all pointing towards it. This one's turned around backwards. And to verify, you have another compass, and then you can go around and show how the magnetic field lines going around this magnet look like. So then you use your little cheat sheet here, and you talk about the Earth, how it has magnetic field going around the Earth, such as this, and it looks very symmetrical and organized and such like this. But on the sun, it looks like this. It's quite chaotic. Yep. It's quite chaotic, and when you have this chaos coming off the sun, sometimes it ejects all this material out there in the space, and sometimes Earth is in the way, and when that happens, you get an aurora borealis that collects at the poles. And that's what happens here. So you have a solar storm, which I made using a boomerang and some magnets on the bottom of it, and then you remove this magnet, and then you kind of swipe it through, and you see how it perturbs all of the compasses. So that's how it disrupts. It could disrupt like the satellites that are orbiting our Earth, like in communications and even the power grids and stuff like that, and which has happened. And you can talk about how electromagnetic energy, and this is a magnet flashlight. And see, I turned it on, and it doesn't come on. But if I turn it off, give it a few shakes, and turn it on, and it works. So you can collect the energy off of it. So you can show how magnetism can cause electricity. And so then, so looking at that picture that's being passed around, and you can look at the Earth. Well, that's a two-dimensional image of the Earth. And so what I did is I've got this little Earth squeeze ball, and I put a magnet inside of it. And the kids love this demonstration. And what they try to do to see how tall they can make this little staple stack up on real size. Yeah, it's a dynamium magnet in there, 1 inch square. So don't
You ever want a bigger one?
out of the way. So this way you can get a nice three-dimensional representation of the magnetic field around Earth using solar demonstration. This is one of my favorite ones in the kids' class. These are little staples. I just took a staple.
You get stuck to the closest. Steel. Yeah.
And it makes it easier for cleanup. You just go like this. And I've learned to